Hello, hello. Welcome back to Emerald Lake. It's me, Raven. Sorry it took me a minute to get ready. I see while I was away, we have reached the Onyx Stream takeover. Woohoo! I am very excited for that. Just so that next time I need somebody else to take over for stream instead of me just disappearing. We can have that stream. Sometimes there will be nobody can do this, but yes. Those are very cute new frogs. I don't think they're frogs. I think they're just frogs or maybe even toads. They got all the spots. Because they don't have that, the radioactive glow that our little froggies got. New frogs. Yes, new frogs. But hello, how is everyone? I will say my hellos and thank yous again for the onyx bit. Thank you. Hello, I love. Hello, Divad. Hello, Yar. Hello, Tsukiyomi. I am hoping that we can settle in and read the ridiculous stories. It says that it is Canadian folktales, but the first two I have sound like something else. Please call me Toast. Hey, I ain't seen what your name was before this, and this is the name that's here. I'm happy to go by whatever the name is here. But okay, hi Toast. Yes, I will hydrate and I will stretch real quick. I hope all of you are hydrating and stretching and resting. Ooh. Nice little dragon. Little party dragon. Ooh. Okay. Teeny tiny. Okay. I need to move the fan. It is too hot. Why is it hot here? I don't know why it is hot in the cave right now. I have seen your name before this week. Forgive me, my brain is bread. We know this. Sometimes I just do not remember. Alright, I'm mostly settled in. I did my hydrate, I did my stretch. I'm very excited to introduce you guys to Onyx. It will be fun. Oh, I skimmed. I'm sorry, I did not. There ain't no freaking question. Oh, that was not properly. I mean, the truth is, I don't know those frogs. I don't know those frogs. They might not be people. It's fine. You were at my stream before. I did remember. Oh, you were talking to Yar. Aha. I was like, what do you... I know you're Toast. What are you talking about? Are you trying to be mean to me, Toast? I know who you is. That is very cute to lick all the snowflakes, though. That gives us a good, innocent reason to do a licka. That is cute. Okay, what? Brain, Raven. Let's use that if we have it. I forgot to run an ad. So I'm going to run an ad. I'm very sorry. And then we're going to get jumping into the stories. So I'm going to run a quick ad. I apologize. We needs to do something to support the channel if we can, though. Why is he sad that he has power? Oh, Frog. Please no cry. Maybe he is scared of the responsibility that comes with the power. Is that it, Yar? Well, anyway, it's been a long time since we've done a folktale, as I was looking back and checking out when the last time was. So I'm excited to get back. Yes, many ads. Oh no. It won't be too long. We will survive, I think. Ooh, I don't know. Um, yes. Okay, so I have said that it is the next stories in our folktales we had last time we were doing Canadian folktales, but the problems is that basically the next couple stories don't sound very Canadian, not traditional. Um I'm not sure where they collected this storybook. I'm very uncertain. I have no trust in it, but we're going to see. We're going to find out. And then the one after that, I think it's mostly just that the title is misleading because of our current modern understanding. But it will make sense when we read it. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. Why can I not tell if ads is up? That used to be a thing that I could see. Why can I not see it? How rude. Hmm. Well, no idea. Has it been 2 minutes, you think? Oh. Okay, well, I'll adjust this and see if I can see this better. Yep, it gives me no indication anymore. Isn't that just freaking great? Or even said very sarcastically and annoyed like. Okay, I'm gonna boop it a boop, and we're gonna start our first story. First story of the night is Saint Nicholas and the Children. You might be thinking, what, huh? That's exactly why I was thinking, about if this is supposed to be a Canadian folk story. Why are we talking about a saint? Something got crisscrossed here, but I'm sure it'll be fun. With that, I hope you're all back. I cannot tell. Are we back? Evil Twitch is not telling me. Okay, I read. It starts St. Nicholas and the Children with two little children lived with their old grandmother in a remote place in the Canadian forest. Oh, okay, so we are maybe still dealing with that. Oof. Okay, they were twin children, a boy and a girl. Pierre and Estelle by name. This feels incredibly French. I'm just gonna call it. This is... I think I know where this is. But anyway, Pierre and Estelle by name. And except for their dress, it was not easy to tell them apart. Their father and mother had died in the springtime, and in the summer they had left their old home because of its many sad memories, and had gone to live with their old grandmother in a new home elsewhere. In this new home in the forest where they now lived, they were very poor, but they were not unhappy. Times were hard, and there was very little food to be had, no matter how well their old grandmother worked. But they caught fish in the streams and gathered berries and fruit and birds' eggs on the wooded hills, and somehow, throughout the summer, they kept themselves from want. But when late autumn came and the streams were frozen over and the berries were all gone and there were no eggs for the birds had all flown south, they were often hungry because they had so little to eat. Their grandmother worked so hard to provide for herself and the children that at last she fell very sick. For several days she could not leave her bed, and she said, "I want meat broth to make me well, and I must have good meat to make it. If I do not get meat, I can have no broth, and if I do not get broth, I shall not get well, and if I do not get well, I shall die, and if I die, you two children will surely starve and die too, so meat and meat alone can save us all from starvation and death." It's pretty intense, Grandma. Jeez, we just lost our parents. The way you gotta make that giant running... Oh my gosh. Ah! Mom! I'm still always so slow about this. Ishboop. Hi. Welcome in. We're reading about Saint Nicholas somehow in a Canadian folktale, and the twins that we are following the story of have a really not so good situation on their hands. Oh boy. And Grandma says some dark stuff about get meat or we're all dead. So here we go. Where did she shut up? Where is that line? Okay, so the two children, to keep themselves and their grandmother alive, set out one morning in search of meat to make the broth. They lived far from other people and they did not know where to go, but they followed the forest path. The snow lay deep on the ground and sparkled brightly in the sunlight. The children had never before been away from home alone, and every sight was of great interest to them. Here and there a rabbit hopped over the snow, or a snowbird hovered and twittered overhead, all looking for food like the children. And there were holly berries growing in many places, and there was mistletoe hanging from the trees. And Pierre, when he saw the holly berries and the mistletoe, said, "St. Nicholas will soon be here, for the trees are dressed and ready for his coming." And Estelle said, "Yes, St. Nicholas will be soon here." And they were both very glad, thinking of his coming. Oh boy. This is... I feel like this is a tall order for Santa to save you. I'm very nervous for these children. But also I've just remembered that I should do a little thing, because Raven is so forgetful. Let's see. There we go. I have adjusted. Let's see if it will work later. Okay, back into the story with the children. They're putting a lot of hope on Santa. I can already see it coming. Oh my goodness. Went clothes shopping this weekend. He has no winter clothes that fit proper. Well, very good timing that they are getting ready for a very bad winter, these children, and you have gotten ready for your winter. I'm glad. I hope there was very nice clothes. Okay. As they went along in the afternoon, they came upon an old man sitting at the door of a small house of spruce boughs under the trees close to the forest path. He was busy making whistles, whittling willow wands with a knife, and tapping gently on the bark until the bark loosened from the wood and slipped easily off. The children stood and watched him at his strange work, for he had merry, twinkling eyes and a kindly, weather-beaten face and thick white hair, and they were not afraid. Are you saying that you think he's Santa? Is that what you're saying, kids? "Hello," said the old man. "Hello," said Pierre. "Why are you making willow whistles?" "Don't ask old man stupid question. Come on." "I am making them for St. Nicholas," said the old man. "He is coming soon for his yearly visit. Indeed, he is already in the land. When he makes his rounds, he always gives whistles, among other things, to good children. And I must have, I must have a great store of them ready for him when he comes, for there are many children to supply." Okay, so you're not saying this man is Santa, you're saying this man is an elf? I think this is like getting things, like he's properly St. Nicholas and not Santa, so I shouldn't put that on this story. But it's giving this a little bit. It's so weird with this. What's going on with this story? Okay. Then he went on whittling busily with his knife. The children watched him for a long time in silence, and they thought what a fine thing it must be to work like the old man for St. Nicholas, in this little house of boughs under the forest trees. Then the old man said, "You are very small children. What are you seeking so far away from people?" And Estelle answered, "Our old grandmother is very sick, and we are looking for meat to make broth to make her well." The old man was sorry he had no meat, for he lived on other food. He told them that some distance farther along there was a butcher who always kept meat. But the butcher, he said, was a very wicked fellow, and sometimes little children who entered his shop never came out again. What the fuck? And you're just gonna let that happen? What the hell, old man? The children were very frightened when they heard what the old man said, and they wondered if they had better go back home. But the old man thought for a long time in silence as he whittled his willow wands, and then he said, I will give you each a whistle, and when you blow it, St. Nicholas will always hear it. You must never blow it except when you are in great trouble or distress, and when St. Nicholas hears it, he will know that you are coming to grief or that harm is already upon you, and he will come himself or send someone to your assistance. You're giving your little kids whistles to call for St. Nicholas. Okay. The Santa alarm. What if they didn't have any issues until the summer? Is Santa supposed to still show up? Oh my gosh. Oh dang! That's a big jump. I'm glad you got your new clothes and everything's all tidied up. This is the problem. I look at chat and I lose my spot. Oh, but you must blow only one blast. Okay, so don't whistle unless you need it. Don't whistle too many times. Just one toot and that's it. The whistle should be given only by St. Nicholas himself when he comes at holly time into the land. But you are good children and your old grandmother is sick and you are trying to make her well. And I know that St. Nicholas will not say that I have done wrong. Okay, so I was like, are you telling them a rule? Because I think that's you. And okay, yeah. He broke the rule. But he thinks it'll be fine. So he gave the children each a whistle, and then fear left them. For they knew they would come... They knew they could now come to no harm if they had the aid of St. Nicholas. It was growing late in the afternoon, and the children set out on their way to find the wicked butcher. But they had many misgivings. And as they went on, they grew faint of heart, for they wondered if the old man had told them the truth about the whistles, or if he was in reality a secret agent of the wicked butcher trying to lure them to their death. Oh, jeez. Things you gotta worry about in these times. Oh, my goodness. They resolved to search for meat elsewhere and to keep away from the butcher's shop. For a long time they searched, but without success. There was no meat to be had in all the land at any of the places they stopped to ask. Soon they came in sight of the butcher's shop. They were very frightened, but the sun had already gone down behind the trees, and night was coming on, and they still had no meat. And they knew that if their old grandmother was to get well, she must have some meat to make broth. The shop, too, looked very pleasant and attractive in the cold winter evening. Warm light was shining from a fire through the door, and in the windows were sausages and fat birds and big yellow pumpkins and cakes with red berries on the top. Why has this butcher got vegetables and cakes? What's that about? Well, okay. The children were hungry and wished for something to eat by the warm shop fire. They decided to enter the shop, notwithstanding their fear, to buy some food and to get meat for the grandmother's broth as quickly as they could. But before they entered the shop, they thought it would be well, in order to be safe, to blow a blast on their whistle as the old man had told them, so that St. Nicholas would know that they were in dread of harm. Well, what if you go in and the butcher's actually so chill? Or the evil guy isn't there and it's like his brother that's in charge right now? What if? Huh, Pierre and Estelle? Huh? Then Santa's gonna get real mad at you for calling him when you didn't need him. I don't think you want angry Santa, do you? Oh, okay. They stood for a time in the shadow of the great trees before the door and made ready to blow together. Oh, jeez. Pierre gave the signal and blew a long, soft blast. But Estelle could not get her whistle from her pocket, and Pierre had finished his blast, all out of breath, before she was ready to blow. So they got ready to do it together, and then no, they didn't at all. What the hell? Oh, shut up. Okay, well, anyway, she failed. Whatever. she did not blow. Don't blow now, he said. You are just like a girl, always too late. Is that a stereotype I didn't know? Oh my gosh. But blow she would, as the old man had told her, and before Pierre could stop her, she blew a long soft blast on her whistle. Okay. But like, if the old man said that they could only blow once ever, he probably shouldn't have given them each a whistle. I mean, it's probably fine. Right? No, well, Pierre was very cross, for he thought that now no good could come of it, as 2 blasts had sounded. But with his sister, he entered the butcher's shop. Technically, there would have been 2 blasts if they did it at the same time. I don't understand. It's okay with. It's just that I'm not catching that as much off of this story. So many of the times I absolutely do just run with the, oh, they had to say it that way, didn't they? But I don't know. Somewhere in this one, I'm not. You go ahead and you make all the jokes you want, because I'm not making them this time. But they're very fair. Okay. Pierre's pissed off. Estelle was slow, but still did it anyway. Here we go. The wicked butcher was in his shop, but not another person was about the place. It was all very quiet. The man was very glad to see the children, and he seated them by the warm fire and gave them food, and although he shut the door tight behind them, their fears soon vanished. After they had eaten well and were warm again, they asked for meat to make broth for their old grandmother, and the butcher said he would give them plenty of good meat, although it was very scarce in all the land. There was a barrel standing in one corner. In another corner was a large hogshead, reaching almost to the ceiling. Damn, how big's your pig? No, I had a different thought now that Pazuzu's in my head. It's a fat hog. Okay, and the butcher said that both of these were full of meat. Wait, is not literally a head from a hog? What the hell are you talking about? Is there a hog's head that's like not a literal hog's head? Because I don't, huh? Okay, well, skip along now, Raven. Now, the butcher was really the friend and partner of a wicked giant who lived in the forest. Okay, so now a giant has entered the chat. This is fun. All right. The giant's greatest delight was to eat little children. Always. He had no meal so well as a meal of little children, 2 at a time. Oh, 2 at a time. Well, perfect. We have 2. Not 3. Perfect. 2 at a time. What the... I guess sometimes people do be particular about how they eat, but that just feels so pointed. Oh my gosh. Children, 2 at a time, pickled first in brine. He ate them always when he could get them, but he was not always successful in his search, for children were scarce in the land. As scarce as meat, I guess. You're that giant, Pazuzu? How evil. Okay, he was a great hunter, and he was able to kill many animals in the forest to secure much meat. So great was his strength. Oh, so it's scarce in the forest because he steals all the meat. I see now. This. Oh, okay, good. I was gonna say, you're also greedy? That's where I draw the line. Okay, he was killing a bunch of animals. He was very strong, and once a week, regularly, he brought a great load of meat to the butcher and traded it for any little children the butcher managed to entice into his shop. Does that mean this butcher has like a baby jail somewhere where he just holds on to children until the giant can show up? Like, how long does it take? It's once a week. What if someone shows up right after he leaves? Does he hold children for a whole ass week? What the hell? Oh, no. Okay. Well, they're not stealing the meat. they were given meat. Or they're being offered meat. But anyway. Okay. All right. So the butcher got much meat at little cost, and the old man of the House of Boughs was right when he said that many little children who entered the shop never came out again. But not all of them. So I guess sometimes when he did catch a kid at the very beginning of the week, he had to send them back out because he couldn't keep them long enough. Or when his baby jail was full. Jeez. The butcher was very glad when he saw the two pretty little children. Oh, good. Thank goodness we know that they're not ugly. Why the frick? Why do they have to say these things? I know it's the story's way of saying they were good, but it's like, Yes, Toast, yours is fine. Okay. He was expecting the giant that evening. What a coincidence. On his weekly visit. And he thought gleefully of the great load of meat he would get from the giant in exchange for the children. For he would ask a big price, and he knew the giant would give all the meat he had for so good a meal. I follow. And he thought too of all the money he would get for the giant's load of meat. Oh my God. So he resolved to kill the children and pickle them in brine to await the giant's coming. Hey, extra accurate, 'cause pickling. Hello, winter. Come get cozy. I know. It was supposed to be a wholesome Santa Claus story that was only not wholesome because of the gentrification of the indigenous peoples. Like, hey, take our stories. Take Christianity. There's no problem. We're just a Catholic church. Oh, but now. Now we talk about how much meat the giant's packing. Oh boy. Literally, how much he's packing along with him on his weekly visit. He resolved to kill the children and pickle them in brine to await the giant's coming. Hee hee hee. Hoo hoo ha ha. Okay, when the children had finished their meal and warmed themselves up by the fire, they made ready to go home, and they asked for their meat. The butcher said he would get it for them. They looked up at the shelves, laden with more food than they had ever seen before, hams and cabbages and strings of onions. And the little children said, "There are good onions up there. We will buy some and take them home to our grandmother to put in her broth." The butcher said, "There are many kinds of onions in the box on the high shelf. You must pick out the kind you want. I will lift you up to the shelf so that you can see for yourselves." So he caught them each by the coat between their shoulders, and because of his great strength, he lifted them high until they could look into the box and pick out the onions they wanted. As he took them down, he thrust them straight out from his body at arm's length and held them there, and they laughed because of his great strength. Then he brought them together with terrible force so that their heads struck one against the other, and they were stunned by the cruel blow. Then he threw them headfirst into the barrel in the corner, which was filled with brine, not with meat, as he had said, and he left them there to pickle well. He was greatly pleased with the fine load of meat he would get in exchange from the giant, who he knew would appear before many minutes had passed. Soon the giant arrived. He carried on his back a great load of meat. Dang, it's so big he had to put it on his back. And he also drew a sled heavily laden with many dressed carcasses of animals he had killed. "What cheer for me tonight, and what fortune," he said to the butcher as he entered the warm shop with his load. Oh, don't say it like that. And the butcher said, "Good cheer and fine fortune. I have a good fat pear for you. And now, the kids are fat now? I thought they were starving from the freaking fall. Yes, they are in a pickle. Okay, he says that they're a good fat pear for you tonight, already pickling in the brine. Yep. And then he uncovered the barrel in the corner and showed the giant, the two little children sticking head first in the pickle. Have they drowned? Have they drowned now? How long do they have time to take breath? What? Head first. If they say that these children lived, I don't believe it. I don't. The giant smacked his fat lips and chuckled and rubbed his great hands. So pleased was he with the sight of so good a meal, and he said, "We will let them steep well in the brine until tomorrow. I always like them very salt." And this is how I know that this was not originally written in English, because he says he likes them very salt, not salty. I knew this was French. It stinked of French. Okay, they covered up the barrel, and then they bargained about the purchase of the meat. Okay, I have to read. The giant agreed to give the butcher all his meat in exchange for the children. Oh my. Then they sat by the fire, drinking and eating until far on into the night. And the giant said that before they went to bed, they went to bed? He's staying over? I mean, there's no other way to read it now. Before they went to bed, he would take another look at the children to see how they were pickling. So they went and uncovered the barrel. Now it chanced that St. Nicholas was in the land at that time, as the old man of the House of Boughs had said. He had come into the land to bring his yearly gifts to the little children. In the evening he was many miles away from the butcher's shop, but he heard the long, soft blast of a whistle, borne on the still evening wind. He knew it to be one of his own whistles, and it told him that little children were in danger. But it was followed by another soft blast, the late blast of Estelle's whistle. And the two blasts meant that the danger was not yet very near to the children, that indeed it was far off. So he thought that there was no need to hurry to the children's aid. Damn it, Estelle, you might have killed them. You might have got yourself killed, Estelle. Pierre was right. Moreover, St. Nicholas was just then leaving tiny dolls for little babies in many little houses in the forest, and he decided to take his time and finish the giving of all these gifts before he set out to the place from which the whistle blast had come. At last he was able to go on his way. The snow lay deep in the forest, and traveling was hard, but the white winter moon was shining, and the path was bright, and St. Nicholas moved along quickly on his snowshoes. Yep, this is not Santa, this is St. Nicholas. He's on snowshoes, my goodness. Far on in the night he reached the butcher's shop from which he knew the little children's note of fear had come. As he entered the shop, the giant and the butcher were just taking their last look before going to bed at the children's... Okay, the way this is... Before going to bed at the children sticking... Yeah, that's a weird... They're taking the last look before going to bed. They are looking at the children sticking in the barrel of brine. They did not know St. Nicholas, but when they saw him, they quickly placed the cover on the barrel, and they were very much confused. St. Nicholas was suspicious that they were about some wickedness, and he knew well that in some way or another the barrel was connected with the dreaded harm of which the children's whistle had told him, and he thought that perhaps the children were hidden in it. Ah, hi, Annie. Yes, exactly, Pazuzu. He's like, oh, no. Yeah, well, that's fine. Toast, I know. Unfortunately, I think St. Nicholas is crashing their party. I do think I do think that the romantic evening is ruined. Well, no, Annie, I don't have mods in here as far as I'm aware. So, Let's see if I've done this right. There we go. The other one I've never been able... I always forget, so you only get the one version of this shout out right now. But everybody go check out Annie. Annie's great. Okay. St. Nick says, the barrel's awful freaking suspicious. So he said, I have come for meat. No, not you too. This is when we find out that actually St. Nick didn't give a shit about the whistles. Like, the second toot was like the sign that it was kids playing with the whistle, and he was gonna get real mad at the old man that was making the whistles. But when he got to his evening, the guys were like, oh, duh. Okay, thank you, Annie, finally teaching me. Damn it, it is. Freaking heck. Okay, so do I have to put the brackets on it? It's not showing up. I'm not sure I've done this right. I did do it right. Okay, woohoo. Thank you, Annie. I've learned things. I didn't have to use the brackets. I'm glad. Okay. Okay, yes. St. Nick says, I have come for meat. I want meat that has been pickled in brine. I should like a piece from that barrel. But the butcher said, it is not good meat. I have better meat in the inner room, and I will get it for you. The butcher says, yeah, let's get going. The role play. No. St. Nick is realizing there's children here, and he says, I can just see. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have better meat in the inner room. I will get it for you. So the butcher and St. Nicholas entered the inner room and closed the door behind them, while the giant sat in the barrel in the corner. Okay, so Giant is sat on that chair. Okay. A little messed up that there are kids currently hiding in the barrel that they are using for that chair, but okay. More than a little messed up. Okay, so the Giant is sitting on the barrel in the corner, trying to hide it with his great fat legs. Oh, my goodness. In the inner room was a barrel filled with brine, but with only a small piece of meat at the bottom. St. Nicholas said he would take that piece. The butcher bent far into the barrel to reach down in search of the meat. But as he did so, St. Nicholas picked him up by the legs and pushed him headfirst into the barrel of brine. He spluttered and kicked, but he stuck fast in the barrel and could not get out. St. Nicholas placed the cover on the barrel with a great weight on top of it, and that was the end of the wicked butcher. And yet it wasn't the end of the kids, I bet, because they're going to try and tell me that somehow Pierre and Estelle were fine. Jeez. Okay. Then St. Nicholas returned to the shop where the Giant was waiting, still sitting on the barrel. He told the Giant that he wanted a piece of meat that lay in the bottom of the large hogshead to pickle in the other corner. He asked the Giant to get it for him, as the hogshead was so high that neither he nor the butcher could reach down into it. I need to figure out what the hogshead actually is. And to say even specifically, it was that, I'll go back. The butcher bent far down to reach in search of the meat. And then, yeah. Okay, yes, the giant. The giant then bent far into the hogshead and began groping for the meat at the bottom. St. Nicholas took a large bone that lay on the floor and standing on a box beside the hogshead, he struck the giant with a powerful blow on the head. The giant was only slightly stunned, but in his surprise, he lost his balance and fell head first into the brine. He yelled and kicked for a time, but his huge shoulders stuck fast. St. Nicholas covered the hogshead, leaving the giant sticking fast in the pickle, and that was the end of the giant. Then St. Nicholas uncovered the barrel in the corner into which he had seen the butcher and the giant looking when he had first entered the shop. There were the two children standing on their heads in the pickle with their feet sticking out of the top. Again, how then are they still alive? He caught them by the legs and pulled them out, and by his magic power, he soon brought them back to life. Oh, okay. Oh. I'm gonna allow that one. I agree, Pazuzu. This was the story of how some kids kind of witnessed some things and they made up a story to try and make sense of it, and their grandma said, yeah, that's it. I just know it. Okay. But alright, yes, the children were dead. The story did confirm it, but Santa had his magic to bring them back to life. Oh, okay. He gave them food and warmed them by the fire, and soon they were none the worse for their hour in the barrel of brine. Jesus. Saint Nick. They were dead for an hour. Ah, come on. Then he gave them meat. I thought you already gave them meat. Oh, he gave them food and then he gave them meat. Ugh. And brought them back to their grandmother, and they made broth for her and soon made her well. And they were all happy again, and the land was troubled no more by giants. Any giants? My goodness. For St. Nicholas never again allowed great harm to come to little children if they always kept his whistle near them and blew softly upon it when they were in trouble or distress. Why do they have to blow softly? Why does it have to be softly? I don't like this. What the hell? Well, folks, this is why we read folktales. This is why we read the folktales. And this is why I don't read them ahead of time. Because yeah, I wasn't catching it so much at the start. They were saying the bits and pieces, but it got inescapable by the end. Even if Pazuzu wasn't here to say all of the did you hear that, Raven? I would have caught it eventually I would have not been able to continue without making all the bits about it. 'Cause geez, that was a lot. That was too much. Well, the next one is not a Santa story. No. So let's hope it's also not some polycule smut. But it does feel a bit odd because it's got an interesting story. Oh, hey! Deadpool Witch, this is perfect for you as you enter. My goodness. Scramped all you want, but the next story is The Fall of the Spider-Man. How do you feel about that, Deadpool? I will say it's definitely like one of our stories of this is definitely one of our stories where it's a spider person. But okay. It's a spider person. But the what has happened? Why is this being weird? Why can I not get rid of? I have no idea why the freaking mascara is happening. I didn't touch that button. Why is that happening? Okay, well the frogs are here. Thank you for redeeming that, Pazuzu. I could not figure out my own buttons. To do things is weird. Why is this adjust? Why is this happening? Well, alright. Yes, the next one is the Silly Little Spider story. I'm guessing it's just a man that is part spider. This is not a bit by Radioactive Marvel owning, but we'll see what that is. I'm gonna do the singing bowl redeem while we're in between. And if there's any other redeems we'd like to do right now, this is the time. I've been adjusting around my redeems. I'm glad we found the Frogs redeem. They're lovely to have. And I'm just going to take a minute to hydrate, cough, and then we're going to do the same bowl. Here we go. Alright, there was the singing bowl. And the telltale frogs in my throat moments. Freaking heck. I've just been not streaming as much, so it's doing it to me after a while of talking straight. I'm getting that happening, so I'm gonna hydrate, look after me. If we have no other redeems, I'll just move on to the next story. But yeah, I've adjusted stuff a good deal. So if you Hi, Dedra! No, not 20 years, my god. If I blunked and it was 20 years of reading for Twitch, I think my brain would blow up. And you'd hope that my numbers would have gone up in that time. No. 20 months is nuts! And thank you so much for resubscribing. Everybody, let's make sure we drop some money for out. Remember, they're there in 7 TV. So if you don't have the emotes, they're there right there. Or if you have any other money type emotes you want to do, that would be great. Amber Star! My goodness. Welcome in. Pedal Raid. Oh my gosh. Hello. I'm so honored. Welcome in, everybody. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. If Raven's head explodes, at least it's a bread explosion. Everybody gets some croutons. Cage dropping the shout out. Coming in as a rated. Thank you. Thank you. Annie popped in and I managed to figure out the second shout out. How'd you watch him do it? I can do it. If I do it right. Let's hope I did this right. Yes, I did. Okay. Hi. Yes, it has been a while. I've been on and off of streaming. It's been stumbly. Life got wild. I'm all right. How are you doing, Amber? Thank you so much for raiding in. Please get lost if you need to go look after yourself. Get food, get rest, get hydrate, go pee, frick. Whatever you need to do, please go look after yourself. No, Cage, you're fine. You're not late. I don't take attendance. I was just mentioning it because when Annie came in, that's when you usually do an automatic shout out for Annie. And I was like, I'll do it, but I don't know the second one. And Annie, the sweetheart, taught me how to do the second one, so I did it. I be surviving today. Well, oof. We just... I'm gonna read exactly what the message was if it'll let me scroll up, because there's a bunch more people here now. Okay, there we go. Pazuzu coined our last story as, "This is without a doubt a smut about 3 DILF polycule hidden as a Christmas story." I'll remind you that I'm reading Canadian folktales. It should not have been that at all. It was something. It's ridiculous. It will be up on YouTube. It's the first story, so people will be able to watch the nonsense very easily if you want to catch it another time. Becca, Canadians are fun. Yeah. It was specifically the Frenchies there because it was a couple of twins, Pierre and Estelle, and Pierre was ragging on Estelle unnecessarily, and Grandma was really intense about how your parents are dead and I'm old and sick and you need to go get some freaking meat. And so they went to go find some meat, and there was a lot of fat and bending over and meat and load. Mm-hmm. You, the French ones. I say full well knowing my friend is French Canadian. Oh my gosh! Please tell boyfriend to listen to the first story when I post it. Oh my gosh! Because I'm like, what the frick is going on with this? And if he knows this story, or if it's like, the version I know isn't quite as littered with references to meat, I'd love to know that, because this site where I get all my folktales is constantly unhinged, and it's definitely all about just like the translations and stuff. But it was bad. It was real bad, my dude. Okay, well, have a good chat. We will see you when we see you. Thank you so much for raiding, everybody. Take Ember Star real quick with a little dancey or something. I'm gonna send a little hearts. Oh, cozy and up. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, you're so sweet. Okay. Right. The next story, right, also named, like, are we even reading folktales right now? This is supposed to be a bunch of indigenous folktales from northern North America, right? Nope, it's The Fall of the Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson's wet dream. Let's see. Okay. It is 2 separate words, so proof that it is not quite J. Jonah Jameson's whole thing, but it's something. I get the feeling it's just gonna be a man that is kind of a spider, and he's gonna do all the usual folktale native stuff. That's what I'm gonna guess is about to happen. But when I read the first two stories from where we picked up, I was like, I really left myself a hell of a start. This is gonna be fun. Okay. The Fall of the Spider-Man. In olden times, the Spider-Man lived in the Sky Country. Yeah, we already off to the right start. Okay. He dwelt in a bright little house all by himself where he weaved webs and long, flimsy ladders by which people went back and forth from the sky to the earth. I forgot that. Okay. The Star People often went at night to Earth, where they roamed about as fairies of light. Oh, doing good deeds for women and little children. Noticeably, men are left out right there, so... Hell yeah. Okay, no. I don't mean that really, but it's fun. And they always went back and forth on the ladder of the Spider-Man. The Spider-Man had to work very hard, weaving his webs and spinning the yarn from which his ladders were made. One day, when he had a short breathing time from his toil, he looked down at the Earth Country, and there he saw many of the Earth people playing at games, or taking sweet sap from the maple trees, so Canadian, or gathering berries on the rolling hills. But most of the men were lazily idling and doing nothing. The women were all working. Okay, this is the type of story we got right here, okay? Do we get pictures of Spider-Man? I don't think we're going to get pictures of Spider-Man. I think we're about to get a very interesting feminist story. And I'm all for it, but sometimes the titles on these are not what you expect sometimes. St. Nicholas and the Children turned out to be definitely just three men meeting for some meat exchange. This is about a Spider-Man, but immediately it's saying, listen, men are trash. I'm like, wow, okay. No pictures of Spider-Man. I know, I thought we were going to make J. Jonah Jameson happy. Hi, DJ. This is what you walked into. I want to apologize, but also, no. We're right back into the insanity that is the Folktales reads. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's not modern feminism. This is definitely old world feminism. And I'm excited to hear for it, because I will say I've skimmed and I see a couple things where it says, no, that doesn't sound very feminist. But we're gonna find out how that goes. Like, it's just a couple of... You'll see. You'll see. Here we go. Okay. The men were lazily idling and doing nothing. The women were all working after the fashion of Indians in those days. That's just the words they use here. This is the old translation. This book, when I scroll to see it, yeah, it's from 1922. They're going to use the wrong stuff. It's not the worst thing to happen today. I'm both glad and sad for you for that. I wish you had a really weird walk-in on a Twitch as the worst thing, because that means that day's going pretty good. But come get cozy. Hopefully it feels better soon. Alright, so so that's the fashion in those days. The men were working but little. And Spider-Man said to himself, I should like to go to the Earth Country where men idle their time away. I would marry 4 wives who would work for me while I would take life easy, for I need a rest. That would be the non-feminist turn that this just took. I'm on J. Jonah Jameson's side. Spider-Man's a menace. 4 wives? 4? Just so that you don't have to do a bit of work. Like, they're not spider women. They're not going to be able to make your ladders. Dude. Whatever. Okay. He was very tired of his work, for he kept at it day and night, always spinning and weaving his webs. But when he asked for a rest, he was not allowed to stop. He was only kicked for his pains and called Sleepyhead and Lazy Bones and other harsh names and told to work harder. Who the heck is doing this to you? Is it the star people that are yelling at you? Those are so mean. Hello. How dare you, Lahonk? Ember is lovely. Ember rated. Ember is amazing. Don't be mean to our friends. Also, we just read a story and we got all mean on the frickin' French. So take that, you French little goose. But with that, thank you very much for resubscribing. Here's your money, frogs. Enjoy your wrestling. Enjoy your meaty men wrestling. Oh my gosh, the meaty men. I can't get over that. Okay. No, oh my god. You say 2 words and I know what you're about to do, so I guess I'm just gonna prep some frickin' emotes. Enjoy, King Long. He's not a king, he's a goose. He's a goose and he's a menace and he's worse than the Spider-Man. Somebody's kicking our Spider-Man that is making the ladders, and that is not nice. And I knew it, so here's your frickin' frogs. But now we've started a hype train, and that's cute. Rude. Don't run right out of my sails. Hee hee ha ha hoo hoo. I'm just big ol' smiling because haha, yes. You totally. What is the word? It's not choreographed. It's something telegraphed your punch there. So of course I saw it coming. Come on. Spider-Man is being kicked by who knows who when he's working hard. And he's gonna choose bad ideas. But the story itself, the way it was written, is very feminist, and I like that. No, the goose is not at the top of the food chain. The goose is a Christmas dinner, and considering the 3 men we previously read about, I'm just saying that would be some meat that they enjoy. And I don't think that sounds good. That sounds terrible. Oh, goose. One of the mods made goose an illegal word, and I always allow it because I'm like, goose is allowed, but yeah. It exists, okay? It's just how it is now. Goose is illegal, apparently. Okay, Raven, can you read the story? No, Chat decides to be Chat. I love it, though. Okay, he's very tired of his work. He's getting called names. They apparently kick him. And then he grew angry, and he resolved to punish the Star People. Okay, so it is the Star People. Shut up, Toast. It is the Star People that are doing this, because they kept him so hard at work. He thought that if he punished them and made himself a nuisance, they would be glad to be rid of him. So, he hit upon a crafty plan. Oh, he crafty. Each night when a star fairy was climbing back to the sky country, just as he came near the top of the ladder, the Spider-Man would cut the strands and the fairy would fall to earth with a great crash. Spider-Man's killing the fairies. Okay, that's a problem. Spider-Man's a menace. I'm fully on J. Jonah's side. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Yeah, it was a while back. It is much more legible, much more bright. And hey, it's the color of the frog cheeks, so it fits. See Kiru in the corner, and they match. It's perfect. Hi, nice guy. Welcome in. We're reading about the Spider-Man, but not that Spider-Man. Okay, so he's killing some sky people, the fairies. That's a problem. But he is killing them after they've gone down and helped people. Specifically, not men. For whatever reason, the sky fairies don't fuck with men. Okay. Night after night he did this, and he chuckled to himself as he saw the sky fairies sprawling through the air and kicking their heels, while the earth people looked up wonderingly at them and called them shooting stars. I'm never making a wish on a shooting star again. Oh my god. What? No, I don't like that. Oh my god. It didn't say that you resubbed? That's weird. Maybe you need to hit a refresh or something. Because it's even showing you as a... Oh yeah, I don't know. The hype train is still going, though. Can you tell me things? Hype train? Hype train! Ooh! There's a frog wow emote to earn at level 1 now. Folks, I need it. I need the frog. No. Raven finds a button. Raven gets distracted by button. Raven needs to focus on the freaking story. Well, why the heck is it being a dickhead? I'll give you your money, frog, anyway. I believe you, because it's one more than we were at before. And the goose and Cage and Tetra, I think that they were all ready, so I don't know. Oh, what are you doing now? Oh, also, what are you doing now? What are we telling? I don't know what it is this time. Oh, that one. Yeah, okay. Hello. Welcome in, Raiders. It's not like you weren't just immediately here a minute ago. What the frick, you little shit? Hi. I dance at the aviary raid. Okay. Shout out. Boop. And a shout out. Why did that not work? Why is this not happening? Yeah, I got the freaking raid message. There we go. Why is my shout out being slow? And I try again, because I am trying something. There we go. Alright. Thank you, Cage, my lovely mod. Hi, Rays. Welcome in. And any other lurkers. We are reading about the Spider-Man. But not the right Spider-Man. This is apparently a feminist story about Spider-Man being a menace, and we are entirely on J. Jonah Jameson's side at this point. No, it's Canadian folktales. It's supposed to be indigenous stories, but our last one was a heck of a weird spin. I will read again if I can scroll back to it. Pazuzu had a very interesting take on it. It's a Santa fanfic, really. Specifically, it is gone. It was we deemed it clearly a Santa smut thing. It's a DILF polycule involved. It was ridiculous. You missed the frogs. Oh yeah, see there, proof that you got it. What the heck is that about? Anyway, I don't know why Twitch is being mean, not letting me have that. Oof. Yeah, me randomly on my own stream, just go all the way. Spider-Man. I want Spider-Man's side. F the fairies. Fight the fairies. Hi, Cassandra. That was a sentence. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like I have to reread it. Everybody's missed the story that was so unhinged. But it was ridiculous. It was insane. It was just these couple of French kid. I was thinking of meaner words to say about those kids. But these French little kids, and they're freaking out. Their parents are dead. Their grandma's dying. They gotta go freaking out. And grandma insists upon them, go get me some meat. And then they find this old man making whistles, and he says, blow this whistle, but softly, if you want Santa to save you. Shut the fuck up, Raze. Oh, if you want Santa to save you, you gotta do this. And then there was a giant and a butcher and Santa that were all bending over barrels for big fat meat. And what was it doing in a Canadian folktale story? Get out of here, French Canadians, with your unhinged Santa fanfic. But hi, Cassandra. Oh my gosh. It's not that we're still talking about it. It's that every time someone else comes in, I try and catch them up on what we've been doing, and I have to tell them, please, please, watch that again. Watch my VOD. Watch it on YouTube. It was ridiculous. It's not very long. Okay. There was also a bunch of notes about salty, and it should be in pairs as well. Oh gosh. Okay. But now it is Spider-Man, and we opened with there are star people that are going to Earth via Spider-Man's ladder. Spider-Man, not Spider-Man. But he's working really hard, and the star people are being kind of mean to him because they're saying, hey, keep working. He says, I want to rest. They say, no, sleepyhead, lazy bones, I'm going to kick you in the face. And they do. And he says, you know what? I'm going to kill you. Because then, yeah, he starts killing the sky fairies. They're supposedly... Wait, no, it's a banana. That reminds me of the Good Place. I have the files. Are you sure? Are you sure it's not a cactus? Yeah. Are you sure? The star fairies are supposedly going to Earth each night, being stars and helping out women and children. And I clocked that they did not include men in that. And I was like, oh. And then they're like, yeah. And the women do all the work and the men sit around doing nothing. I'm like, oh, this is a feminist story. Well, interesting. And then Spider-Man says, you know what? I'm going to go down to Earth if I could and get 4 wives and do absolutely nothing because they'll do all the work. Won't that be fun? And I'm like, okay, I'm officially not on Spider-Man's team. And then he goes killing the star people who are helping people out. And he just watches them fall and giggles to himself. And I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not on Spider-Man's team. So we're all rooting for J. Jonah Jameson at this point. He's a menace. But now... people are looking up at the stars falling and calling them shooting stars, and that broke me because I am never going to make a shooting star wish again. Oh yeah, where did it step? And now we pick up where we were. I will not be distracted. I will read. Help me, Frau, because I must focus. Okay. Many star people fell to Earth in this way because of Spider-Man's tricks, and they can never get back to the Sky Country because of their broken limbs or their disfigured faces. I thought that they were dead. For in the Sky Country, the people all must have beautiful faces and forms. Okay, well, that's not great. But Spider-Man's tricks brought him no good. The people would not drive him away because they needed his webs, and he was kept always at his tasks. At last he decided to run away of his own accord, and one night when the moon and the stars had gone to work and the sun was asleep, he said farewell to the Sky Country and let himself down to Earth by one of his own strands of yarn, spinning it as he dropped down. In the Earth Country, he married 4 wives as he had planned, for he wanted them to work for him while he took his ease. He thought he had worked long enough. All went well for a time, and the Spider-Man was quite happy living his lazy and contented life. Not a strand did he spin, nor a web did he weave. No men on Earth were working, only the women toiled. You're gonna have to go on. That's honestly the real caption for that is Santa getting to his meaty men meetup and finding children and having to stop the evening early. That's basically what it is. And yes, there you go. Those are very cute little cats. I like them very much, but I must focus. Dang it. Okay. Mm. The women toiled. At last, Glooskap, which I'm fairly certain we have read about before. Glooskap is somebody we know, who ruled upon the earth in that time. Yes, exactly. Became very angry because the men in these parts were so lazy. And he sent famine, capital F, famine, into their country to punish them for their sins. Famine came very stealthily into the land and gathered up all the corn and carried it off. Then he called to him all the animals and the birds and the fish of the sea and river, and he took them away with him. In all the land there was nothing left to eat, only water remained. The people were very hungry, and they lived on water for many days. Sometimes they drank the water cold, sometimes hot, sometimes lukewarm, but at best it was but poor fare. The Spider-Man soon grew tired of this strange diet, for it did not satisfy his hunger to live always on water. It filled his belly and swelled him to a great size, but it brought him little nourishment or strength. So he said, "There must be good food somewhere in the world. I will go in search of it." Spider-Man, one wife, three sisters thinking about pursuing higher education. Yeah. Well, honestly, though, now Spider-Man is doing some work. He's like, well, if we've got no food, I guess I gotta go back to a kind of work. I gotta go find some work. So I guess he's gonna go and actually do something. Good for him. That night, when all the world was asleep, he took a large bag and crept softly away from his 4 wives and set out on his quest for food. He did not want anyone to know where he was going. For several days he traveled, living only on water, but he found no food, and the bag was still empty on his back. At last, one day he saw birds in the trees, and he knew that he was near the border of the Hunger Land. I'm sorry, the Hunger Land. That's what we're calling that now. Okay, that night in the forest, when he stopped at a stream to drink, he saw a tiny gleam of light far ahead of him through the trees. He hurried towards the light, and soon he came upon a man with a great hump on his shoulders and scars on his face and a light hanging at his back, with a shade on it which he could close and open at his will. I got a feeling that's one of the star people you just about murdered, buddy. It's just a guess. I got pictures of Spider-Man raiding the... Yeah! Okay. The Spider-Man said, "I am looking for food. Tell me where I can find it." And the humped man with which he could skipped. And the humped man with the light said, "Do you want it for your people?" But the Spider-Man said, "No, I want it for myself." Then he humped... No. Then the humped man laughed. I was about to read, then he humped the man. No. No, Raven, bad. That is not what that says. Ugh. The humped man laughed and said, "You are near to the border of the land of plenty. Follow me and I will give you food." Then he flashed the light at his back, opening and closing the shade so that the light flickered, and he set off quickly through the trees. Oh! So Spider-Man found Firefly Man. That's who that's gotta be. That's a firefly. He found a firefly. The Spider-Man followed the light, flashing in the darkness. I keep skipping to the front of the line that I've already read, But he had to go so fast that he was almost out of breath when he reached the house where the humped man had stopped. But the darkness... No. Okay. I'm doing it endlessly. It's a very solid paragraph. Sometimes they make the paragraph shorter. This is a very solid one. And I keep doing it to myself. Spider-Man followed the light flashing in the darkness, but he had to go so fast. He nearly ran into the house, but the humped man only laughed when he saw the Spider-Man coming, puffing wearily along with his fat and swollen belly. He gave him a good fat meal, and the Spider-Man soon felt better after his long fast. Then the humped man said, "You are the Spider-Man who once weaved webs in the sky. I, too, once dwelt in the star country, And one dark night, as I was climbing back from the earth country on your ladder, I knew it, carrying my lamp on my back to light the way, when I was near the sky, you cut the strands of the web, and I fell to the earth with a great crash. That is why I have a great hump on my back and scars on my face. And because of this, I have never been allowed to go back to the sky country of the stars. I roam the earth at nights as a forest fairy, just as I did in the olden days, for I have my former powers still with me, and I still carry my lamp at my back. It is the starlight from the sky country. I shall never get back to the star country while I have life. But someday, when my work on earth is done, I shall go back. Although you were cruel to me, I will give you food. The Spider-Man remembered the nights he had cut the ladder strands, and he laughed to himself at the memory of the star fairies falling to earth with a great crash. But the man with the light knew that now he had his chance to take vengeance on the Spider-Man. Ooh, the Lantern Man. This is a good villain for the Spider-Man. I like him. The latter did not suspect evil, so Spider-Man didn't suspect anything. He was glad to get food at last. Then the humped man said, I will give you 4 pots. You must not open them until you get home. They will then be filled with food, and thereafter, always when you open them, they will be packed with good food, and the food will never grow less. The Spider-Man put the 4 pots in his bag, and slinging it over his shoulder, he set out for his home, well pleased with his success. After he had gone away, the humped man used his power to make him hungry. Yet for several days he traveled without opening the pots, for although he was almost starving, he opened them. No, he wished to do as the humped man had told him. At last he could wait no longer. He stopped near his home, took the pots out of the bag, and opened them. I think we're going to go a slightly different spin, but maybe it will be so. We'll find out. They were filled with good food as he had been promised. Firefly guy, come on. We were going to do better. Aww. No evil revenge yet. Okay. In one was a fine meat stew. In another were many cooked vegetables. In another was bread made from Indian corn. And in another was a luscious ripe fruit. He ate until he was full. He covered the pots, put them back in the bag, and hid the bag amongst the trees. He wasn't going to share with his people? Oh, does he? Okay, I'm mad again at the Spider-Man. Sorry. Then he went home. He had meanwhile taken pity on his people, and he decided to invite the chief and all the tribe to a feast the next evening. You weren't just going to generally help them? Seriously? Okay. For the pots would be full, and the food would never decrease, and there would be enough for all. He thought the people would regard him as a very wonderful man if he could supply them all with good food in their hunger. Oh, so it was a power trip. I see. When he reached his home, his wives were very glad to see him back, and they at once brought him water, the only food they had. But he laughed them to scorn. Evil man. And threw the water in their faces. What the fuck? And said, Oh, foolish women, I do not want water. It is not food for a great man like me. I have had a good meal of meat stew and cornbread and cooked vegetables and luscious ripe fruit. I know where much food is to be found, but I alone know. I can find food when all others fail, for I am a great man. You're a shitty spider is what you is. Go forth and invite the chief and all the people to a feast which I shall provide for them tomorrow night, a feast for all the land, for my food never grows less. They were all amazed when they heard his story, and the thought of his good meal greatly added to their hunger. But they went out and summoned all the tribe to a feast as he had told them. The next night all the people gathered for the feast, for the news of it had spread through all the land. Okay. They had taken no water that day, for they all wished to eat well, and they were very hungry. They were as hungry as wild beasts in search of food. Okay, I think I know where this is going now. The Spider-Man was very glad because the people praised him, and he proudly brought in his bag of pots. The people all waited hungrily and eagerly, but when he uncovered the first pot, there was no food in there. I knew it. He uncovered the second pot, but there was no food there. He uncovered all the pots, but not a bit of food was in any of them. They were all empty, and in the bottom of each was a great gaping hole. Now it had happened in this way. When the humped man, the star fairy, had given the pots to the Spider-Man, he knew well that the Spider-Man would disobey his orders and that he would open the pots before he reached his home. He chuckled to himself, for he knew that now he could take vengeance on the weeb. No, Rabbit. Web weaver. Jeez. Take vengeance on the web weaver who had injured him. So when the Spider-Man had left the pots among the trees, the humped man used his magic power and made holes in the pots. The humped man did that? Okay. And the charm of the food was broken, and all the food disappeared. When the people saw the empty pots, they thought they had been purposefully deceived. The remains of the food and the smell of stew and of fruit still clung to the pots. Oh! They thought the Spider-Man had eaten all the food himself, so in their great hunger and their rage and their disappointment, hell yeah, they fell upon him and beat him and bore him to the ground, while the humped man with the lamp at his back, hiding behind the trees, looked on and laughed in his glee. Then the people split the Spider-Man's arms to the shoulders and his legs to the thighs, so that he had 8 limbs instead of 4. So you're telling me that before he was just a man, just a normal human man that had web coming out of his ass? It was just a dude? He wasn't even fully spider yet? Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay. And then the humped man, the star fairy named Firefly, I knew he was a firefly, came forth from behind the trees, and standing over the fallen Spider-Man, he said, a lot of weird stuff today. That's Folktales with Raven. I don't know what to tell you. Firefly says, henceforth, because of your cruelty to the star people, you will always crawl on 8 legs, and you will have a fat, round belly because of the water you have drunk. And sometimes you will live on top of the water, but you shall always eat only flies and insects. And you always spin downwards, but never upwards. And you will often try to get back to the star country, but you shall always slip down again on the strand of yarn you have spun. Is that where... Oh my gosh. That's like the Itsy Bitsy Spider song, you know, crawling up and always falling down. Is that where this began? Is that where this began, sir? Oh my goodness. Then Firefly flashed his light. He flashed them. Oh God. And went quickly away, opening and closing the shade of his lamp as he flitted among the trees. And to this day the Spider-Man lives as the humped man of the lamp had spoken, because the cruelty he practiced on the star fairies in the olden days. Well, what do you know? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this is the time for redeems if you would like to redeem anything. I'm going to take a moment to hydrate and cough, because when you haven't streamed for a while and you haven't done all the reading, doing a bunch of reading, your throat will get upset. But our next story seems to be right back to proper indigenous stories. We've got a rabbit and a chief for the next story. We'll see how unhinged this one gets. I don't think we're gonna beat the frickin' St. Nicholas, though. Ugh. Oh, what? Soon you will have points, Toast. Soon. Okay, I'm going to quickly mute. I will... Oh, I don't have the ring here. Ugh. I will have to fix that till later. Okay. Okay. just put the water bottle to my face when you redeemed it. Thank you, Rays. I drank. I drank again because you told me to. I hope everybody's staying hydrated. Let's prep. If we don't have any redeems to do, I will just prep the next story, but this is the time for redeems. Let's spell. Oh no. This is what you do with your points, sir. J. Jonah Jameson Jr. J. Jonah Jameson Jr. I'm glad she likes the frogs. They're very cute. They have names. I will go through them. The big one on the side, that's Kiru. That is Japanese for frog, apparently. Is what I have been told. Gamakichi's in the middle, on top of my head. Gizmo's on the one side. And then Bert and Ernie are over there. And that's the frogs. Oh! Is it Herbert time? Is it time for Herbert? Fine. I guess he can join. Yeah. Sing a frog time. Or, as we know him in this little community, it is Herbert. It is Herbert time. They call for you, sir. There was Herbert. Herbert the pervert, the singing frog. He's a problem. But we're going to skip over that because we've already had enough sus tonight. DJ, then send all the frogs. Let's do frog spam. Boop, 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 boop. I'm dropping the Doros. Epi. And boop, 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 boop. I love my freaking frogs. We have worked hard to make these frogs, and there are other frogs that I would like to make. But there is also the chibi raven emotes that I would like to eventually see. Frog. Enjoy the frogs. Okay. And with that, I think we will read the next story. Okay, so the next story is Rabbit and the Indian Chief. Again, that is just the words they used in this old book. It is the word we will be using. Means Indigenous folks of Canada, almost certainly, since these are Canadian fairy tales. This book, that's the title of it, by Cyrus Macmillan in 1922. Frick. Here we go. Long ago, an Indian chief was living with his people far in the Canadian forest. Proof. Canada. Okay. Life was good and food was plentiful, and the people were all very happy. But one day, a wicked giant, oh no, not this guy again, and his old witch wife, oh. If that's the way you describe your wife, no wonder you're meeting strange men to get some meat in the woods. Okay, I'm just imagining this is the same giant as the other giant, but it's probably not the same giant. Okay, the giant and his wicked witch came crashing into the land from a far country beyond the prairies. They devoured all the food they could lay their hands on, and soon there was little left to eat in the country, and often they carried off little children to their hiding place and ate them up until not a trace of them remained. Somewhere in the forest, they dwelt in a hidden cave. They slept all day long, but at night they always stalked forth in search of plunder. The chief was much troubled, and with his warriors he tried in every way to discover their hiding place, but no one ever succeeded in finding it. For by the use of their magic power, the giant and his old witch wife... Why do we have to use old witch wife both times? I get the feeling that's the only way she'll be described now. The giant and his old witch wife could make themselves invisible when they walked abroad among men, and they could not be caught. Well, dang it, invisible giants, that's no good. The chief called all his warriors to a council, and he said, "Who can rid me of this pest? Who can kill the giant?" But not a man replied. And when he saw his people's store of food rapidly growing smaller, and the little children of his tribe slowly disappearing, he was greatly puzzled at what he should do. One night of bright moonlight, Rabbit was prowling through the woods, as was his custom, in search of someone on whom he could lay a prank, for he was a great jokester. Oh, classic. Suddenly, he came upon the giant and his old witch wife standing by an opening in the side of a low mountain. He watched them for a long time from the shadow of a great tree, and at last he saw them enter a large hole in the side of the hill. He knew now that he had hit by accident upon the giant's cave, and he was well pleased by this discovery. But he kept his secret to himself, for he thought, "Here is a good chance for me to win fame. I will kill the giant by a crafty trick, and I will then be looked upon as a great warrior, the foremost in all the land, for all the chief's men have failed to find the giants." Well, of course. My brain. Okay. So, he went to the chief and said, "Oh, chief, I know where the giants live, and I swear to you that I am going to kill them. It is I alone who can rid you of these pests." "You," said the chief in great surprise. "Little harm the like of you can do to giants. They will eat you up in one mouthful." And he laughed loudly at Rabbit's boldness. And he called to his warrior, saying, "See what a stout fighter we have here. Little Rabbit says he can do what we have failed to do. He swears that he will kill the giants. He is better fitted to kill a mouse." And they all laughed loud ha-has at Rabbit's vanity. Ha-ha. Just imagine a bunch of... what's his names from The Simpsons? Who's the guy that says the ha-has? Nelson. Just a bunch of Nelsons laughing at a rabbit. Poor Rabbit's pride was deeply hurt by the chief's scorn and the warrior's cruel laughter, but it all made him more determined than ever to slay the thieving giants. So he went to an old woman who lived nearby and said, "Give me an old faded dress and a ragged old shawl and your colored spectacles and a hat with a feather in it." The old woman wondered what tricks he was up to now, but she gave him what he asked for. He put on the tattered old dress and the battered old hat with a red feather sticking out from the top, and he wrapped the old shawl about his face, and he wore the woman's colored spectacles that he carried, and he carried a crooked stick. So he's playing. It's a rabbit that's playing as an old woman. This is feeling very Looney Tunes now, and I like it. He dressed in this fashion, for he set out towards evening for the giant's home. Okay. When he reached the mouth of the cave, he stood still and waited, leaning on his crooked stick, for night was coming, and he knew that the giants would soon be going out on their plundering rounds. After a time when it was quite dark, except for the moonlight, the giant's old witch wife came out of the cave. See, I told you that's the only way they're going to talk about her. When she saw the rabbit in the dim light, she said gruffly, "Who are you standing there in the shadows?" "Oh, my dear niece," said Rabbit, "I have found you at last. I am your poor old aunt. I thought I had lost my way. I've come to see you from your home in the far country. It was a long journey, and my poor old legs and back are stiff and sore, and I am very hungry and tired." And he moved slowly towards the woman, hobbling along with his crooked stick. The giant woman was deceived. Oh, good, she's finally referred to differently. And she threw her arms around Rabbit and kissed him, and she did not feel his whiskers or his split lip because of the old shawl that was wrapped around his face. "I have a pain in my jaw from sleeping out of doors," said Rabbit, "and I must keep my face wrapped up." "Come in and rest, and you will soon feel better," said the giant woman. "You will have to lead me in," said Rabbit, not wishing to take off the shawl, "for my eyesight is very bad." So she led Rabbit into the warm cave, which was so dark that they could scarcely see each other, and she called her husband and said, "Here is my dear old aunt who has come all the way from the far country beyond the prairies." And the giant, believing Rabbit to be his wife's kindred, for he could not see him very clearly, treated him very kindly, and they showed him the bed where he was to sleep. Very hospitable giants, that's nice. The woman gave Rabbit a large piece of dried meat to eat, but Rabbit said, "I cannot eat it, for I am old and I have lost all my teeth. Give me an axe to cut it up small." So the woman brought him a sharp axe, and he chopped the meat into small pieces and ate it all up. And he said, "I will keep the axe by me, for I shall need it at all my meals." And he placed it beside his bed. The giant said, "We are going away to see some friends, but we shall be back before midnight." But before they went away, Rabbit said to the woman, "I hope your husband sleeps soundly. I have had a bad cough, and I sometimes moan because of the pain in my face and head, and I do not wish to disturb him." And the old giant woman answered, "He slumbers too well. When we sleep, we both snore loudly, and when you hear us snoring, you may cough as much as you please, for then you will know that we are sound asleep." Then the man and his witch wife went away. When the giants came home, Rabbit pretended to be fast asleep. They brought back with them much food, which they hid in a secret place at the side of the cave. Rabbit watched them through the holes in the old shawl around his head. Soon they went to bed, drowsy after their fat meal, when Rabbit heard them snoring loudly like a great waterfall. It's written CHRRR, which I'm not sure how to make that sound like a snore, but that's just because I don't know how. He arose very quietly and crept softly to their bedside. With 2 blows of his axe, he killed the giant and his wife, one after the other. Then he ran away as fast as he could, carrying with him his old dress and hat and shawl, for he thought he might need them again. In the morning he went to the chief's house and told the chief what he had done. The chief laughed scornfully, and he would not believe it until Rabbit brought him to the cave and showed him the slain giants cold and stiff in their bed. The chief's men then took back to the village the great store of food the giants had hidden in the secret place. But the chief and his warriors, although they were glad to be rid of the thieves, were angry at heart because Rabbit, whom they had laughed at, had done what they had failed to do, for they were very jealous of Rabbit's power. He had Looney Tune powers. He's unkillable. One day soon afterwards, the chief called all the birds and the animals to a council, and he said, "Now that the giants who robbed us of our food are dead and gone, and that we shall never again want for nourishment in my country, I'm going to let each animal and bird choose the kind of food he would most like to live on if he could get it. And they shall never want for that kind of food if it can be provided." And he called on each to make the choice. And the birds said, "Grain and seeds and worms." And the squirrel said, "Nuts." Yeah, you would say that, squirrel. And the fox said, "Chickens." And the cat said, "Milk." No, the cat did not. The cat's gonna get the shit from the milk. Ugh. Lies. And the dog said, "Meat and bones." And the weasel said, "Eggs." And the wolf said, "Lambs." And the bear said, "Fish from the frozen sea." And so on until each animal was called upon and declared his liking. And the chief said, "It shall be as you have chosen." But the chief had purposefully neglected to summon poor Rabbit to the council, and Rabbit was absent on a long journey. When he came home, he was very angry when he heard what had happened, for only the leftover in the world's food remained for him to choose. So he went to the chief and said in great wrath, "This is a fine return for ridding your land of giants. But that is a way you have. You always reward good deeds with evil." I mean, harsh but fair. The chief was very angry because of Rabbit's insolence, and he said, "You are telling lies again." But Rabbit called as witness to the truth of what he said sheep and goat and duck who chanced to be passing by, and who stood listening to the quarrel. And old Sheep said, "Rabbit has spoken truly. When I was young I gave the chief much wool to make clothes for his back, and he used me well. But now that I am old, he is going to kill me and eat me up. That is my reward." And old Goat said, "Rabbit has spoken wisely and justly. I served the chief well in my time and gave him milk. But now that I am old and have no more milk, he is fattening me and getting me ready for slaughter. That is my reward." And old Duck said, "That is a true saying of Rabbit. Once upon a time I gave the chief many eggs and young ducklings. But now that I have stopped laying, he is soon going to roast me in a pot. That is my reward." Why are you giving him your young ducklings? Why are you giving him your children? What? Why? The chief could make no answer to these charges, for he knew them to be true, and he offered to do what was in his power for Rabbit. But Rabbit refused to make choice of food, for he said the best was already gone. He sulked for many months and lived alone by his own efforts as best he could. Is this how all those animals got landed with, like, grass to eat? Is that what this is about? At last he decided to take vengeance on the chief, and he hit, as was his custom, on a crafty trick. The chief had an old bear, which he prized very highly, for the bear did for him many wondrous tricks and brought laughter to him and his warriors when he danced at their feasts. In those olden times, Bear had a long, bushy tail, of which he was very proud. We have read a story about Bear having a bushy tail, but I don't know if it was Rabbit that stole the tail. Was it Rabbit that stole the tail? It was like Rabbit and Cat and Bear, they were all fighting about tails. I forget which one this was. Okay, anyway. One day as Rabbit sat on the ice fishing, for it was now winter. Oh, yep, see? This is exactly, I was going to say he froze Bear's tail off, didn't he? Here we go. This is happening. Okay. He was ice fishing, for it was now winter. Bear came along. There was to be a feast that night, and he was going to dance for the chief, and he was in very good spirits. "Where did you get all the fine fish?" he asked, for he was a great fish eater. "I caught them through the hole in the ice," said Rabbit. "It's very easy. Just drop your tail down through the hole, and it will soon be covered with fine big fish." Bear did as he was told, and he sat on the ice for a long time waiting for his prey. He sat so long that the hole froze up, for it was very cold, and in it was frozen poor Bear's long bushy tail. "Now," said Rabbit, "jump quick, for many fish are hanging to you." Bear jumped with all his might, but his tail was held fast in the ice, and it broke off close to the root. Rabbit laughed in great glee and ran away, and poor Bear howled with pain and shame. He could not dance at the feast because his stub of a tail was sore, and the chief and the warriors were very angry at Rabbit because he had harmed their dancing pet. And since that time, Bear has had a short, stubby tail, which to this day he tries to wag feebly. Oh. Rabbit then hid for some days far from the chief and his warriors. Then he decided to try another trick. The chief's woodcutter was old Beaver, who lived in a little house of reeds on the bank of a stream. Is this going to be where he flattens the frickin' tail? Is that what this one's going to be? Okay. He was very busy now cutting down trees for the chief, for it was near to springtime, and the people were in need of logs for building roads over the rivers. One day Rabbit went to Beaver and said, "The chief sent me the chief sent me to you to bring you to a great tree he wishes you to cut down at once." So Beaver went along with him. But when Beaver was busy at his task cutting down the tree, Rabbit hit him with a savage blow on the head with a big stick, hoping to kill him and thus again to anger the chief. Poor Beaver fell to the ground and Rabbit ran away, but Beaver was only stunned. He got up after a time and went home muttering to himself and rubbing his sore head. Soon Rabbit came back to the tree and found Beaver gone. He knew that his blow had failed. Then he put on again his tattered old dress and his ragged shawl and his colored spectacles and the hat with the red feathers sticking out the top, and he went to Beaver's house by the stream, hobbling along with a stick. "The chief sent me to bring you to a great tree he wishes you to cut down at once." I'm like, are you going to fall for that, Beaver? That's the exact same words, and it seems Beaver is skeptical. Okay. "Cut down the tree at once," he called, and Beaver said, "I have already tried to cut a great tree for him today, and I should have finished it had I not been beaten with a stick until I was stunned by the blow." "Who struck you?" asked Rabbit, laughing to himself. "Rabbit struck me," answered the Beaver. "He is a great brigand and a liar and a thief," said Rabbit. "He is all that," said Beaver, rubbing the lump on his head. So Beaver went along with Rabbit. "I thought you weren't going to do that. Oh, my God. Beaver! Beaver, you know better than this." And Rabbit asked as they went along, "How is it that you were alive after that cruel blow?" And Beaver said, "Rabbit hit me on the head. If he had hit me on the back of the neck, he would have killed me, for there I keep the secret of my life." Is that No, that's in the butt, isn't it? I was going to say the gland that makes the vanilla scent. Isn't that from beavers? Anyway, okay. When Beaver was busy again at his task, cutting down the tree, Rabbit hit him with a powerful blow on the back of the neck, and poor Beaver fell down dead. Then he cut off his tail that was made like a file and went happily away. You're supposed to have a tail, though. Okay. For he knew that the chief would be very angry when he found what had happened to his woodcutter. When the chief learned that Beaver had been killed, his wrath knew no bounds, for he could ill afford at this time to lose his best wood chopper. He blamed Rabbit for the deed, but he could not be sure that his suspicions were well founded. Rabbit kept out of the chief's sight for some weeks, but one day in early summer he was very hungry. He saw all the other animals filling their bellies with their favorite food, and he decided to forget his sulks and to ask the chief for help. So he went to the chief and said haughtily, "I want you to give me food for my own special use, as you have done with the other animals. You must do it at once, or I will do you much harm." Then the chief remembered what Rabbit had done to his dancing bear, and he thought of the death of Beaver, for which he blamed Rabbit without proof, and he grew red with anger. He seized Rabbit by the heels and said, "Henceforth, the dogs will always chase you, and you will never have peace when they are near, and you will live, for the most part, on whatever food I throw you into now." Then he whirled Rabbit around by his head by the heels, and he threw him from him with great force, hoping to drop him in a great black swamp nearby. Poor Rabbit went flying through the air for a great distance, farther than the chief had hoped, and he dropped with a thud into a field of clover, on the edge of which cabbages and lettuce were growing. And since that time the dogs have always chased Rabbit, and he has always lived for the most part on cabbages and lettuce and clover, which he steals on moonlit nights from farmers' fields. The end. Well, that was not wild or silly at all. That was just a rabbit. How disappointing. It was a good story. I love when we have messed up stories, but it's nice to see the sweet ones too. They make me happy. All right. Well, that was Rabbit and the Indian Chief. I think I'm only going to be streaming for maybe an hour longer. I want to get into streaming full, like 4 hours again, but hey, 3 hours is better than I'd been doing previously. Usually I'd be wrapping up early. We'd have started later, but I would have wrapped up fairly soon, so... Okay, you lurk, but I have to drop some money, frogs. It's tradition. Thank you. Okay, go ahead and lurk. Do we have any redeems, I wonder? Or are we going to be running right into the next story? I'm going to prep the next story just in case, but this is a great break for redeems if you choose. Well, hi, right? Just got home. Okay, well, I'm glad you was home. Go ahead and do whatever you got to do as you're just home. I am EP. This is one of the problems with why I have not been streaming is because I have not been nocturnal as I usually must be for my streaming hours. I have had to be early mornings. That does mean that I've been able to see the good morning chats actually while it is morning in the Discord, which is nice. I've been able to say good morning or early afternoon. But yeah, this is... This is definitely catching up to me. I am EB. Okay. The next story in the list is Great Heart and the Three Tests. Based on how long things have been, this could be the last story. We could have more and more after that. Let's see what the next one will be. It is tight. We will see. I'm still giggling at the fall of the Spider-Man. Freaking Satanic. I'm going to be putting up the videos, but like, I'm tempted to just clip that one story to hell. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with some of these that are so unhinged. I want people to know that the most unhinged things do exist. Maybe I should I should have an all-stars read, but the best part of them is when I didn't know what was happening. Once I know what the story is, I'm not shocked. I'm not like, balls. I don't know. Whatever it is that is referenced. So, I guess the answer is that I would have to go through all of my VODs and find all the best stories and make clip. Take the chunks that is just telling that story. But guys, I'm not gonna do that. That's too much work for a little breadhead like me. I'm not gonna. It's just unrealistic. Breadhead? Do you want me to have breadhead? I have Frog. Oh, you mean my brain is not? Yeah. Yeah, I have breadhead. It is thoroughly loaf. I am not. I am not thank. Okie doke, we will swap around. Let's see if I can get this right. Why is it doing that? That's not what it's supposed to do at all. I should be blush. What the hell is going on with this thing? Okay. There we go. Now I am breadhead. Thank you, DJ, for swapping to breadhead. It is a more accurate representation. This is me. I have no brain, only bread. Okay. Ooh. I fear this one is about to be a drama. It is not going to be a silly, goofy time. I'm not certain. But I think. Okay, the next story. Great Heart and the Three Tests. And we'll see if it is a drama. No! No! But what about the other frogs? What about all the frogs? I'm curious, DJ girlfriend, who is your favorite frog? I dropped the emotes in the chat a little bit above. You can scroll, I'm sure. Who is the favorite? I'm always so proud of my popcorn because I made that, but it loops so perfect. But I also like Charmed Frog. That may be a little fast and maybe a little silly, but I love him. Fetster's making of the Hug Frog where he squished into screen is so adorable. It's impossible. The hearts is so cute. And the Doros are so silly. I love that I have the Frog Doro on top of the Raven Doro. Those are very cute. This is fine. Yee! Also me. The gentleman. Must love the gentleman. That was one of the first emotes I made. I'm so proud of him. And the hug. Thank you, Fred, for those hugs. Those three are the favorite. Okay. Those are great. Those are great picks. Those are great picks. I can't disagree. Okay. With that, I will start the story. Now that we know our favorite frogs, of course. Okay. Somewhere near the sea, in olden times, a boy was living with his father and mother. He had no brothers or sisters. Hi, nice guy, the dart. We were with mother, father. Realizing. I want to scribble the title real quick. I gotta keep track of which stories I've read, or else next time I'm not gonna know that we read any of these. Well, no, I'm definitely gonna remember the frickin' St. Nicholas. Anyway, okay. He had no brothers or sisters. His father was a great hunter, and the boy inherited something of his power, for he was always very successful in the killing of game. And his mother said, "Someday he will be a great man, for before his birth a vision came to me in the night and told me that my son would win wide fame. And fairy gifts were laid by the fairies in his cradle." Oh, sorry, I stopped at the end. Should have hurried up for that last sentence. And his father, listening to her boasting, said, "Time will tell, time will tell. But if he is to be a great man, it is his own deeds and not your boasting that must prove it. Okay, Dad, you do not need to, have a challenge with your son. You can just be, excited for your son." Just saying. Just saying. As the boy grew up, he became strangely beautiful. Why is it strange? Were his parents ugly? Why is it strange he's beautiful? Why? Or is it like, damn, he's sexy. He shouldn't be sexy, but he is, you know? I like how people feel about Benadryl cucumber patch or whatever. Is that what this is? Okay. Very beautiful, strangely beautiful, and he had great strength. And his father said, "It is time he set out to seek his fortune. I was in the forest doing for myself when I was no older than he." And his mother said, "Wait a little and be not so impatient. He is yet young and there is yet much time." So the boy remained at home a while longer. It is feeling, is dad jealous or is mom coddling? We're somewhere in between the two. Now it happened that far away in a distant village there lived a young girl of very great beauty and grace. Her father had been a great chief, but he was now dead. Her mother too was dead. Of course, her parents were both dead. And she was all alone in the world. But her parents had left her vast lands and a great store of goods and many servants. And because of her treasures and her great beauty, she had many suitors. But she was not easily pleased by men, and on all who came to seek her hand she imposed severe feats of skill to test their sincerity and their worth. This is feeling a hell of a lot like European fairy tales and absolutely none like our indigenous tales. This isn't as out of place as St. Nick, but it's pretty frickin' out of place, and I'm getting mad. Weird emphasis on beauty. Everybody's dead. No, everybody's dead either way. Suitors, servants, tests of fate, and I ain't heard one animal name yet. Suspicious as hell. Okay, I'm just calling it. This is definitely European. Definitely European. She did great tests. She was very carefully guarded by an old woman with many servants who kept troublesome and meddlesome people away. Soon the fame of the girl's wealth and beauty spread through all the land. It reached the sea-coast village where the young man dwelt. His father thought to himself, "Here's a good chance for my son to prove his worth." So he called his boy to him and said, "It is time you were setting out to seek your fortune in the world and find a wife." Again, this feels a lot more like a European story than an indigenous one. "For your springtime is passing, and your summer of life will soon be here, and before you know it, your autumn will be upon you, and your winter will be near." This is Dad's way of saying you're going to get old soon. Hurry up. I did not need this. Raven did not need to hear this right now. There is no time to lose. Oh, the goose is back with butts. Welcome back, Goose. You're definitely going to want to watch the VOD with all of the... Eee, look at that frog enjoying the licks. You're going to want to watch the VOD for the St. Nicholas story. Right now, we have a story that says it's indigenous, but my gosh, it sure reads as European so far. Yeah, go find a wife. You're gonna die. There is no time to lose. Seek out the beautiful girl of the rich treasures in the distant inland village and try to win her as your wife. And his mother gave him the fairy gifts which had been laid in his cradle at birth, and he said goodbye to his parents and set out on his long journey. He had no misgivings, for he was very vain of his beauty, and he was sure, too, of his strength. So he had no misgivings. He knew exactly how he was definitely going to get this. Sounds like he's just incredibly cocky. Scrolled up and I see Santa's meat. Yep, that's why you gotta watch the VOD, my goose. It's ridiculous. It's the first story, so it'll be easy to catch. As he traveled inland, he came one day upon a man clad in scarlet, sitting in the side of a rocky hill, tying stones to his feet. "Hello," he said to the man. "Why are you tying these heavy rocks to your ankles?" "I am a hunter," replied the man. But when I follow the deer, I run so fast that I am soon far in front of them instead of behind them. And I am putting heavy weights on my feet so that I will not run so rapidly. What? Okay. You are indeed a wonderful man, said the boy, but I am alone and I need a companion. Let us go along together. Who are you? Said the man. I am Lad of the Great Heart, said the boy, and I can do great deeds and I can win for you great treasure. So the Scarlet Runner went along with him. It feels very much like we have a European story that someone just like swapped in names to sound native. Just a bit. 'Cause I'm sorry, Pretty Boy Strong Boy is Great Heart? Sure. And a Scarlet Runner? Why is he scarlet? He's just speedy. Why is he red? It feels bad. Anyway, okay. Towards evening, when they were now far inland, they came to a large lake. Among the trees on the fringe of the lake, a large fat man was lying flat on his stomach with his mouth in the water, drinking as hard as he could. Why? For some time they watched him, but he drank, and the lake grew smaller and smaller, and still his thirst was not quenched. They laughed at such a strange sight, and as they approached him, the boy said, "Hello, why do you lie there drinking so much water?" "Oh," answered the fat man, "there are times when I cannot get enough water to drink." Is this a sign of diabetes? Isn't that a thing where you can't you're very thirsty? Isn't that one of those signs? Anyway, interesting. Can't get enough water to drink. When I have drunk this lake dry, I shall still be thirsty. Who are you? Asked the boy. I am Man of the Great Thirst, said the fat man. That is well, said Greatheart. We too need a third companion. Since when? Why do you need three? Why do you need three? We can do great deeds and we can win for you great treasure. Who decided that? This entirely feels way too European. Get out of this book. You are not No, you're not Canadian. So the three went along together. Whatever. They had not gone far when they came to a wide open plain where they saw a man walking along with his face raised upwards, peering at... Oh, now they're going to get a fourth dude. Okay. Peering at the sky. He moved along rapidly and seemed to find his way without eyes, for he gazed steadily at the heavens. Hello, said Greatheart as the sky gazer rushed past him and almost knocked him over. What are you looking at so intently? Oh, said the man, I have shot an arrow into the sky and I am waiting for it to fall. It has gone so far that it will be some time before it drops. Who are you? Asked the boy. I am the Far Darter. I'm definitely going to mess that up. I'm going to call him the Farter at some point. I know it. So I'm just going to say it now. He's the Farter. I'm the Far Darter, said the sky gazer. We three need a fourth companion, said the boy. Why? We can do great deeds and win for you much treasure. Come along with us. So the four went along together. They had gone but a short distance across the plain to the edge of a forest when they came upon a man lying down at full length with his head upon his hand. We need 5 now? We need 5. Why do we need 5 men? What is happening? This story is supposed to go, I am the dude. I meet people that help me complete the tasks, but there's 3 tasks. 3 made sense, sort of, because I know that this is called 3 tasks, 3 tests. 4, he's going to make the other people do the work, and the pretty boy's going to get the princess. Fine. 5? 5? One of them's not going to do anything. What the hell? What is happening? Okay. Man lying down at full length with his head upon his hand. The edge of his hand was on the ground, and it was half closed around his ear, which rested upon it. As he saw the 4 men approaching him, he placed a finger on his other hand upon his lips and signaled to them to keep quiet. "Hello," said Greatheart in a whisper. "What are you doing here with your ear to the ground?" "I am listening to the plants growing far away in the forest," he answered. "There is a beautiful flower I wish to find, and I am trying to hear it breathing so that I may go and get it. Aha! I hear it now. See, there you go. That is the most obvious." If this was indigenous, they would have said a ho, not a ha. "I hear it now." So saying, he rose from the ground. The boy said, "Who are you?" "I am Keen Ears," said the listener. We 4 need another companion," said Greatheart. "We can do great deeds and win for you much treasure." Funny he said that to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th guy, but not the first or not the 2nd guy. The 2nd guy that was with him, he didn't get no, "I'm gonna win treasure with you." It was just like, "Sa, dude, you want to join?" And he was like, "Yeah." "Okay, fine. We're going to do deeds, win treasure. Come along with us." So the 4 men and the boy went along together. Keen Ears and Scarlet Runner and Far Darter and the man of great thirst and the lad of great heart. Then Greatheart unfolded to the others his plan to win the beautiful girl who lived with her treasures in the distant village. You haven't even been there. You already know how she does everything? Okay, fine. And they gladly agreed to help him in his dangerous undertaking. When they reached the village, the people were all very curious when they saw the 5 strangers. They marveled at Greatheart's beauty. But when they heard that he wished to marry the daughter of the former chief, they shook their heads gravely and said, "It will never be. She places hard conditions on all who seek her hand. He who fails in the test is doomed to death. Many suitors have tried and failed and died." But Greatheart was not alarmed. Yeah, because he's got 4 people to do the work for him. Oh. And with his 4 companions, he went to the girl's home. The old woman who guarded her met him at the door, and he made known his wishes. She laughed scornfully when she saw his great beauty, and she said, "You look more like a girl than a warrior. Oh, that's why he's strangely beautiful. Get out of here with the... He's pretty. Get over it. Okay, you cannot endure the tests." But the young man insisted on making the trials. Ah! Thank you for the follow, GN556. I just like to shout out whenever we got a new follower, and our tradition is to drop some dance emotes. So here is some dances for you. Cage beat me to it with the cat dance. That is very cute from lately. But yeah, there you go. Ah! Darking or drinking late? Dirking night? Thank you for the follow. You get your own dances. Let's do these little dances. Thank you. Thank you for the follow. Enjoy your little dance party. And again, Cage is on it. Hey, little honk. Hi, guys. What's up? I have to read, but what is it? Also, I like that little rat with the lights. Don't you try to brick me. Guess what I got for this? Guess what I got for this? Where is it? Get bonked, you little shit. Oh, we will have Herbert sing in a bit. I must finish this story first. Okay. Murder frogs once the violence has been thrown. Okay. That's about right. There you go. Okay. You're too pretty. You're gonna fail in the tests. But the young man insisted on making the trials. I'm certain he's not gonna even do his own freaking thing. It's gonna be somebody else. He's gonna make the guys that he met do all the things, and then all of them get to share her. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, if she likes that, then she can like that. But I don't like it. This story makes me a little sad. The old woman said, "If you fail in the test, you will die." And Greatheart said, "It is so agreed." But what if his friends fails the test? Does he die or do they die? Like, what the heck? Okay, "It is so agreed," the woman said. "If you wish to win the maiden, you must first push away this great rock from before her window. It keeps the sunlight from her in the mornings." Then Greatheart, calling to his aid the fairy gifts of his cradle, placed his shoulder against the huge stone which rose higher than the house, and he pushed with all his strength. With a mighty crash it rolled down the hill and broke into a million pieces. The bits of rock flew all over the earth. So great was the fall that the little pebbles and stones that came from it are seen throughout the world to this day. The sunlight streamed in at the window, and the maiden knew that the first test had been successfully passed by a suitor. I'm going to call this right now. Bits of rock flying and saying that little pebbles are seen throughout the world to this day. That sounds a lot like someone's really half-assed attempt at doing and that's why the bear has a stubby little tail. You know? But like, you didn't even specify what pebbles. And this one guy makes pebbles everywhere, and this is the only thing that pebbles have ever existed? I call bullshit. This is shoehorning in indigenous like tropes to an obviously European story, and it's pissing me off. Get out of here, you fake story. I guess it's not a fake story. It's still a story, but if it's not really supposed to belong. Okay, but good for Greatheart for doing the first test himself. I don't know how the rest is gonna go, but then came the second test. The old woman and her servants brought great quantities of food and drink and bade the strangers consume it all at one meal. They were very hungry, for they had eaten nothing all day, and they easily ate up the food. But when Greatheart saw the great barrels of water, his spirits sank, and he said, "I fear I am beaten." So he had to have the other guys eat with him, and the man of thirst dude is gonna drink all the water, obviously. So yeah, he's officially using the other dudes to do the tests, at least a bit. Okay, "I fear I am beaten." But man of the great thirst said, "Not so fast, my friend. The spell of great stomach burning is again upon me. I am very dry, as if there was a fire in my belly. Give me a chance to drink." He went from barrel to barrel, and in a twinkling he had drained them all of every drop, and the people wondered greatly. But still there was another test. "You must have one of your party run a race," said the old woman to Greatheart, and she brought out a man who had never been beaten in running. Okay, I'm going to guess how this goes. Scarlet Runner's going to run. Great Ears, what was his name? Keen Ears is going to listen on the ground to see who's running, who's winning. And then the guy with the arrow is eventually going to, in fact, strike the guy that they have to beat or something like that. Okay. All right. One of them must run. And the old woman to Greatheart, and she brought out a man who had never been beaten at running. "Who is your choice of runner?" she asked. "He must race with this man, and if he wins, you may have the maiden for your wife and all the treasure with her, for this is the final test." "But who? All of them? Just Greatheart? What? How are you deciding this?" "Okay, whatever. But if he loses the race, you shall die." Greatheart called Scarlet Runner to the mark and told the old woman that this is the man selected. Then he untied the rocks from the runner's feet, and when all was ready, the race began. The course lay far across the plains for many miles until the runners should pass from sight and back again to the starting point. The two runners kept together for some distance, talking together in a friendly way as they ran. When they had passed from sight of the village, the maiden's runner said, "Now we are out of sight of the village. Let us rest here a while on this grassy bank, for the day is hot." The Scarlet Runner agreed to this, and they both stretched out on the grass. Now this was an old trick of the maiden's runner, who always won by craft rather than speed. They had not lain down long on the grass when Scarlet Runner fell asleep under the hot sun, just as his rival had hoped. When the latter was sure that his rival was sound asleep, he set out for the village, running as fast as he could. The people soon saw their runner approaching far off on the plains, but there was no sign of the stranger, and they thought that the new suitor for the girl's hand had at last failed like all the others before him. Great Heart was much puzzled when the scarlet runner did not appear, and as he saw the maiden's runner coming near, he said, "What can have happened? I fear I am beaten." But Keen Ears threw himself on the ground and listened. "Scarlet Runner is asleep," he called. "I hear him snoring on the plains far away." And with his keen sense of sound, he located the exact spot where the runner was laying. "I will soon wake him," said Far Darter. Okay, so he's gonna wake the Scarlet Runner by hitting him instead. Okay. He fitted an arrow to his bowstring. The people all thought him mad, for they had never seen an arrow shot so great a distance beyond their sight. But Far Darter was not dismayed. He quickly shot an arrow from his bow to the spot where Keen Ears had indicated. His aim was so true that he hit Scarlet Runner on the nose with an arrow. And he didn't die? He didn't have an arrow run through his head? What the fuck? Okay, fine. And aroused him from his sleep. But when he rose to his feet, he found that his rival had gone, and he knew that he had been deceived. So in a great rage because of the trick and the pain in his nose, okay, so he is in pain, he set out for the village running like the wind. His rival had almost reached the end of the race, but by putting all his strength into his effort, Scarlet Runner quickly overtook him and passed him near the winning post and won the race. And the people wondered greatly at these great deeds of the strangers. Then the old woman said to Great Heart, "You have won the maiden as your wife, for you alone have succeeded in these tests." So the two were married with a great ceremony. He didn't even have anything to do with the last test. He didn't do shit on the last test. What are you telling me that he earned it? He did one test. All of those men deserve to... Quite honestly, anyone but him. Who would have done the most? Okay, so Great Heart participated in the stone and eating. Everybody also participated in eating. So then, let's say Scarlet Runner did eating and the run. Man of Great Thirst did eating, but he also did the drink, which it seems hardly anyone participated in drinking the great barrels. Let's say he only did that one. Okay, so Man of Great Thirst, least percentage of earned this. Great Heart did 2. Scarlet Runner did 2. Far Darter did 2. And Keen Ears did 2. 4 of these men deserve to share her properly, and then the last guy deserves, like, weekends. A weekend every once in a while. What do you mean? What do you mean, Great Heart? He did no illegal. I mean, I don't love that this is how this is decided at all either. But like, he didn't do shit. Ugh. Okay, fine. The two were married with great ceremony. Great Heart gave much treasure to his companions. At least he gave them the treasures, and they promised to help him always in his need. Then, with his wife and her servants and her great store of goods, he went back to his native village by the sea. His father and mother were glad to see him again and to hear of his success, and his mother said, "I told you he would win great fame because of the fairy gifts that were laid in his cradle at birth." And they all lived together and were henceforth very happy. See, even the ending of this story is very European, and so they all lived very happy. They don't have to say that with the native ones. It's usually like, "and that is why that is," and he continued to be a pest. Like, they don't... Illegal. You should not be in this book. Get out of here. Author dude. What was your name, author dude? Cyrus Macmillan, you failed. You failed to do your duty. Okay. I fear I would not finish the next story in time when I ought to, need to, end stream. But we still have like 20 minutes to hang out. So let's do that singing frog. And maybe we be chatty. Maybe we do redeems. But I don't think we're gonna do stories. I think that is it for stories tonight. I could go looking for another shorter story, but I don't wanna. Let's just bring Herbert, okay? We just need to hear Herbert sing. The honk, is you listening? Miss your goose. I wonder if he is back to the meaty men wrestling, or has fallen asleep, or is pretending to have left so that he can do the "I'm ready for my frog now," and I can do that screaming. Okay. Either way, it's Herbert time. When there was Herbert. I hope you enjoyed the Herbert singing. I suppose I could look for if there is a shorter story that we could read. But the time that it takes for me to try and find one is usually exactly when it's too long. Always what? What? No, that is long. Probably something I already said, but then I forgot it before you could say the thing. And so I have forgotten. Ooh, that one's going to be fun. No, it looks like all the stories get significantly longer after this. Where's Bella? Singing Frog was always one of my faves. Aww. Still comfy sound. Aww. I'm glad you enjoy it. That one actually might be short, but considering that there's going to be a bunch of long stories in the future, I think I'm going to hold off. And so, I will simply plan to read the next story, The Boy of the Red Twilight Sky, tomorrow. Yes, I plan to do a short stream tomorrow. It's going to be more of an afternoon stream, but I should do that. That is the plan. Not exactly afternoon, but like if this was a little bit early, it's an hour earlier than my normal streams. The next one will be another hour earlier at least. Trying to think through how things will have to go. I will figure it out. But with that, if there is no redeems, I think I have something that somebody's who is not here, and maybe plenty of people who are here will enjoy, since we have not done in so long. It is Kalimba time. That is what I think it is. I think it is Kalimba time. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. humming. Okay. Actually, we'll do humming first, and then we'll do kalimba. That sounds good. Okay. Do we have any preferences for the hummings? Hi, Briar's Patch. Hi, Bud. It's very good to see you. Thank you for the resub. Come get cozy. We have our bunny frogs for thank yous. Thank you very much. Okay, but I am humming, so I will pick another song. Okay, one more song, and I'm keeping in sleepy time vibes with this one that I don't normally hum, I think. Ooh, okay. Where are you, water jar? Yoinked. Okay. Um. Okay. And now I guess we'll do water jar as it's been redeemed. Before we get to kalimba time. Here we go. counting. There was the water jar. So I suppose we just have a few more minutes. I will ask Fetster to prepare for raid in a bit, but we're gonna do Kalimba before we go. If you couldn't tell when I was humming, my voice is mad at me. But okay, no more reading. I can just play Kalimbas. And now I finally look up from the kalimba. Yeah, we could probably update the Discord emotes. I have not done that. I have not known how to do that. I will talk to my mods. Mods, if you know how we do that. I think we can do that. I will bring the emotes. I'm sure there is a way that we will make that happen. It's just not something we have done because we just have not done it. But thank you for that point, DJ. We should have the cozy frog in there. Alright. Fester, do you have a raid location? Because we will be running away soon. Oh, yes, absolutely. We will need to make that up. Mentioning the girlfriend, and now we're gonna go to Melty Girlfriend. That sounds very fun. Okay, well then, with the boop boop, and we're gonna start our prep to raid out. Is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make sure I got that name right, and I'm gonna do raid 1 and raid 2. Copy those if you have the emotes. That's right there. If you don't have the emotes, the one with the little purple hearts is good. Let's begin those raiding out. I want to say thank you everybody for joining me. I really appreciate all of the resubscriptions. I really appreciate all of the follows that we got. And it's just good to see everybody again because I have been busy since I was missing the last week's streams. I'm so pleased that we managed to get the Onyx stream permitted there with the community challenge, because I just had to extend it, but everybody is still on board for that. I'm very glad. With that, I am pasting my message. I'm prepping for us to run, so everybody, please take care of yourselves, get your rest. Whatever time zone, happy time zone if you're going eeps. Get some snacks, get some hydrates, and let's go say hi to Melty Girlfriend, who's just started stream. This looks very fun. I like her shirt. Is God Fly? Okay, let's go.